good evening, and hello, and welcome to Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. It's Happy Wednesday, and every Wednesday night we come to you with a leading lady, a featured guest speaker. I am Joy Ruffin. My work with you is as a leadership and style consultant, a signature style specialist, speaker, executive producer, TV host, and podcaster. And the assignment with you is to support you in walking into your divine femininity. And we're going to be talking a lot about that tonight. I can't wait for you to meet our featured guest speaker. And that's why you're here. And I want to share with you a little bit about her, because my work tied into my signature style work is also as a personal strategist, a personal development strategist. But this is exactly what she does. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Andrea Isaacs. I hope I pronounced her name right. You know I'm very bad with names. She forgives me. Everyone does because they know me. She's a founder of the Emotional Mastery Institute. She has been a trailblazer since 1994. Woo, how time flies. Where she created her unique system integrating the Enneagram, embodiment, shadow work, and neuroscience. Her passion, like mine, and yours if you hear, is empowering women speakers and entrepreneurial people to embrace their uniqueness so that they stand out in a sea of sameness. Now, we have the same goal. We're going about it differently, but the alignment is so connected that I can't wait for you to meet her. So, my friends, you know the drill, so to speak, coming into the 21st century here. I want you to sit back. You're invited to sit back and relax and grab whatever makes you comfortable and help me welcome our featured guest speaker tonight, Andrea Isaacs. Come on up. How are you, my love?
Oh, Joy, you infuse me with enthusiasm. I'm doing great, thanks.
Well, if I infuse you, there is definitely never a question about alignment, because I want to thank you for your grace and your consideration, because we were scheduled some time ago, and you know, as some of my friends do, that I'm going through the biggest transition in my life, and I had to pull back, and I have to do it again. But you're here, and I'm honored to have you here. Yippee, yay!
I'm very excited to be here.
The work that you're doing is aligned with the soul and the essence of who I am and what I'm doing, and we are connected in that alignment. Share with us briefly a little bit about your work and what you're doing, and then we're going to get into some bullet points that will support others on their journey, because we're all on the journey.
Life is an unfolding journey, always with unexpected turns around the corner.
Always.
One of my passions is to have people aligned with the truth of who they are, and to be all that they are, to be whole, to not overdo it, to not underdo it, to own your value, your truth, and to live your purpose. And I also have a passion for everybody to be seen, heard, understood, and honored. So one of my passions is also guiding people in quality conversations, quality communication, so that conflict can be averted. It's not that we avoid it. It just doesn't have to happen when there's good communication. Those are some of my passions.
Well, those passions align with me to the T, because mine is the same. People sometimes misconstrue, and I'm attempting in every way now to get away from that when I say a signature style specialist and a stylist, it's very different from just the surface. Because if you don't go inside to find the wholeness of you and walk away from the sameness, and we're all one, let's not forget that, and no one's better. But that's why, Andrea, I'm so aligned with what you're doing. That leads me into one of the bullet points that you gave me that I really want to speak about, because you mentioned all the key words that are tied into it. Unshakable confidence. How do we get, and where do we begin to discover that? Because I've been on the journey all my life, and it's being received every day in different ways. So what can you share with us about that?
I see you as having that, Joy. It's interesting to hear you say that you've been on a journey to have it, because I just see it in you.
Bless you. Thank you for that.
You know, one of my passions for one of the reasons I have so much passion about that is I didn't have it for much of my life. It was elusive. And as a little girl, my mother used to always just say, "Oh, be confident, Andy." Well, I wanted to. And I grew tall really quickly. I was like, at my fourth grade, I was easily a head taller than everybody else. And so I stood out in the crowd, and I hated that. I hated being seen. Oh, it was terrible. But fast forward many years, I've learned the reasons that many people like me, maybe some of our listeners, hold back from you. There are reasons we hold back. It could be an inner critic that usually is instilled in you by a parent. It could be a teacher or somebody who gave you some kind of message that you're wrong or you're stupid. You know, we don't come in the world believing that we're wrong or we're stupid. It's imprinted by someone. And if you have any inner critic like that, we usually carry it on and we start owning that voice as if it's our own. It holds us back from our confidence. So shifting the inner critic is really important if you want unshakable confidence. And also, a lot of people are diminished when they're young about who you are or what you want or what you need. And you might take on the belief that, oh, what I want doesn't matter. Oh, there's no time for what I want. Oh, it's selfish to want what I want. Mm-hmm. And when we have that voice, we suppress what you want. And actually what you want is part of your gift, because your gift lives in your heart. It lives in the bottom of your heart. And it is your deepest longing. It's your life purpose. And one of the reasons that some of us hold back from our confidence is we're not aligned with what our gift is. So one of the things I love doing is helping people unpack what's been smothering that message, that voice, so they get connected and aligned with the truth of who they are and with their purpose.
My lady love, you're speaking to my soul here. And the way that you describe that, anyone who has gone through and is still on the journey never ends. They have received that. Because my mother used to always say to me in a different way, I was chatty Cathy. Oh, be quiet. Get over there. Because I was this insatiable curiosity, always pulling and grabbing and asking. We all go through it in different ways. And the message and the gift and that wholeness inside is stilled. And then when you begin to find that, you find ways to be forgiving to first of yourself and then of whoever and whatever it was. Love that explanation. Yes.
When I hear you say that, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So when you say that, I hear, you were criticized for being chatty Cathy.
I was.
Sometimes what we're accused or criticized by is also our gift, because it's part of why you're a great podcast host.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, I discovered that after a lot of soul searching and so on. But yes, she meant no harm, my mom, because it's like I was taking away her shine. But here we're going into different think that this ties in with what you just mentioned and what you shared. Authentically matching your true self with the outer you, because that's what you spoke to, the wholeness of us and the gift within. Give us some food for thought and how we can reach and get to that.
It's honoring your wants and your needs as part of the wholeness of who you are. It's not overdoing it. It's not inflating it, and it's not deflating. Sometimes when we think we're being humble as if it's a good thing, it is in a way. But if you're humble to the point that you don't own your gifts, that's just a fact. If you have a particular gift, it's a fact. It's not overinflating it to state that this is true about who I am. And to be able just to state it as a truth is really important.
I like that, owning it, because when you speak to the sameness of how we're all, if we don't find our individuality, our gift, and reach for that wholeness and the beauty of us and be humble, we don't have to have two. Humility is good, but it reaches a level.
I was so afraid to be me for so many years.
Me too.
Because the shyness just held me back. I didn't want to be seen. There's so many parts of me that I held back, and I didn't want people to see me because I was afraid of being judged or criticized. And that's not living in wholeness, right?
No,
it's terrible to live.
My lady love, that's why we're connected, because there's such an alignment here. And not only you and I, millions out there who will view and hear this will feel what we're speaking to, because there's a wee bit of it, no matter what the upbringing or background might be. I love that. And you mentioned that word whole.
I always knew I had a message inside, but the shy me couldn't get it out. And so one of the things that I shifted in myself was believing in myself, believing in my gift. And because I've done that work and I've connected to my gift and my wholeness, since then I've been able to speak on stages in 30 countries. Been a keynote speaker on 5 continents. There's no way I could have done that as a younger person without having done this work.
I know, I know. And that's what I'm about. Let me share with you that when you mention that wholeness and the way that you express that, for most of us, I find that that discovery, it is a journey. It takes time, but there's so many keys to it now that will speed up that journey
Oh, yeah.
that I'm a happy senior. I'm blessed every day, even with the transition that I'm going through. You and I have the ability and the gift to help people, no matter what generation they're in, to get to it quicker. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when we talk about embodiment, when you speak to embodiment, that's what I think about, embodying all of the greatness. You know, I heard Les Brown as a young girl say, everyone has greatness within them. And I felt it. I didn't know where to go to find it. I didn't know where
Right.
it was. I didn't realize it was within me until I heard him say it. I said, whoa, there's something there. So this is what I think all of us ultimately have to find. How do we find it and then begin to embody it into
Sure.
who we are?
Well, first of all, if you don't embody it, you don't got it.
I love that.
The way I came upon this, well, I guess part of it is my nature. When I talk to someone, I often don't remember the words, but I remember the feeling in my body. I embody the feeling of what you're telling me. It's just the way I've always been. When I was a professional dancer, choreographer, artistic director of my own company, I loved to have my dancers to communicate certain emotions on stage. And so I had them embody the emotion so their performance was authentic and powerful. And then fast forward many years, I came across a personality system that was complex and had lots of information. And I went to a week-long training, getting a ton of information in my head. And I just wanted to embody it. I wanted to experience these different emotions these different personalities had. I was sure that a kinesthetic method of learning was valuable. I
Mhm.
knew how it could exist and that it should exist, and it didn't. So I created one. And what I learned in that, and this is touching on what you're asking me about wholeness and so on, and owning your
Mhm.
message, you
Mhm.
can have the idea in your head of wholeness, but if you don't embody it, and how do you do that? Well, I teach people the language of the body because it's like a foreign language we were never taught. And I combine the language of the body with the language of emotion. And when you put them together, you have the doorway to your emotional mastery. And if there's an emotion that's been elusive, you actually can learn how to embody it and then create the neural pathway for it so it becomes a part of who you are.
Oh, Andrea, I love that, the language of the body. And let me just speak to, for me and for you, it's all about not only style, leadership, divine femininity, equality, and power, especially for us women. And for me, because my background and the way that I came to my own awareness and awakening is through the fashion world and the entertainment world. And as much as I love them, they have warped many of us, especially us women. So that's why I love and applaud and celebrate the work that you're doing and so many other beautiful souls that I bring here. I'm going to take a quick little reset because you and I are going to come back and I want to talk about emotional range and flexibility, which ties into what we're speaking about. And we're going to expound on it a wee bit more. So sit tight. I'll be back with you in just a second. This lady has me all around. Well, you know, I'm excited anyway, and I go all over the place. I'm a bouncy. But let me share with you this. If you are not a member of Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies, why not? She belongs, and so many of the beautiful souls that I bring here, and you belong with us because your vision, your mission, and your purpose, like Andrea is explaining to us so brilliant and beautifully, it belongs to the universe. First, you gather it together and awaken it, and then you give it out to those who need your love and wisdom. And the reason that I say that, we're going to speak a lot about, as much as time as we have left, about know thyself. And one of the people that I've aligned with through human design and designed this quiz for you, we want you to unlock your magic, your talent, your skills, and your creativity more than ever before. The universe, she, he, it, whatever your source might be, calling for it. So take this quiz, avail yourself of it, and you'll find greatness there. I'm going to ask my engineer to bring up her graphic because we're going to speak to this. Please take a screenshot, take a snapshot, leave this up for a brief second because this is a great toolkit for you. And Andrea is going to speak a wee bit more about it towards the end of our conversation. Time simply flies here, but I want to make sure that you get a screenshot and a snapshot, because we want to, because I say we for everything. It's never about me or you. It's about we, us. Want you to avail yourself of this. Andrea, back to you. Emotional range and flexibility. That's what we're all seeking. And my opinion, I'm sharing it with you because I think it's aligned. And if not, I have no shame. Please let me know. I think a lot of forgiveness goes into this, along with for yourself and the people that you need to forgive. How does that play into emotional range and flexibility?
Well, if forgiveness is not in your comfort zone, you won't be forgiving. You won't be forgiving. Maybe you'd be forgivable, but you won't know how to forgive. We all have a comfort zone.
And you won't have emotional flexibility and a range,
right?
Because you can't connect to that part. Yes, that's what I meant.
So, yes, we all have a comfort zone. Do you ever know someone who would just cross their arms and just say, well, that's me. Whenever you say this or do that, this is how I get. That's just me. Well, that is not emotional flexibility.
No.
And that person has very limited emotional range. So one of the things I teach after we learn the language of the body and put it together with the language of emotion, we learn how to embody the gifts and the challenges of each one of these different personality types. And the reason for embodying the gift is to create the neural pathway. So it becomes part of your comfort zone. If this is your comfort zone, it gets bigger each time you do those exercises. The reason for going into what I call the challenge or the shadow side of each type is, well, there are many reasons. One is to better understand yourself when you get that way, to better understand others, and to also give you insight about what you most need when we return to the healthy aspects. And now, because we go up and down and in and out of all these emotions, you do learn the flexibility. You learn, oh, I don't always have to be that way. I used to react like this when you would criticize me. I would get defensive. Oh, that never worked. Now I don't have to be like that. I could just hold my ground and speak my truth kindly, for instance. So that's the flexibility, is learning that you don't always have to be the way you always were. The range, the capacity has to do with creating the neural pathways for the whole range of the healthy gifts of humanity. In the Enneagram system, they describe 9. Ennea means 9. But there are really an unlimited number of emotions. And whatever we want or need more of, we can learn how to embody it. And every time we do that, we create a neural pathway. And when we practice these things, it's like going to the gym and lifting weights. We do our reps and the muscles get bigger and stronger, and we can lift heavy things real easily. The same thing is true with our neural pathways. Every time you remind yourself of the truth of who you are, that neural pathway gets energized, it gets bigger and stronger, and then it's part of your comfort zone, and it comes to the surface, and it's part of you whenever you want or need it, like lifting heavy objects when you're really strong.
Oh, Andrea, let me tell you, back to a few things. First off, you mentioned a little bit before I took the break about feelings, and I mentioned to you 2 people that impacted me in the best way. Les Brown and Maya Angelou, who said, it's not about anything except the way people make you feel. I think I really did not receive that until later, and you just expressed it in a way that made it more impactful. But back to emotional range and flexibility, let me ask you, because I have this insatiable curiosity, too much so, how does curiosity fit into emotional range and flexibility?
I love it. I love that you're curious, and it's one of my values too. I am so curious. I love asking questions as well. So how does it fit? Well, when you ask questions, it means when you're curious, you ask questions. It means you're open-minded, because apparently that you want to hear the answer to the question. And when you're open-minded, you can take in new information and you learn. You're continually learning. So there's a flexibility I'm hearing in you in terms of your curiosity and your willingness to be open and to listen to new thoughts and new approaches and new ideas.
I love that. And you know why? Because I think initially, until you gain whatever level of curiosity you have, there's that, I just experienced it in someone who, let me just back, that you have the need to be right. And you're afraid to ask questions because you don't want to be judged. But only when you come into the knowing of you and your gift, that you're able to freely flow with whatever. Would that be a point made there?
Yeah, you said something is what I want to comment on about when someone
Has a need to
knows
be.
they're right, and they make sure that you know that they're right, and they may be and they may not be.
Well, I said when a person feels that they have this need to be right,
Or need to
make
be
a
right.
mistake, they can't be wrong.
Yeah, when I say they know, it's like because they have that
Yes.
need. They may, because they may not be. I know someone who will, I could say something. If it comes out of my mouth, it's always wrong. If it comes out of her mouth, it's right. Even if she repeats what I just said, she has a need to be right. And I think part of that need is because of the fear of being criticized.
Exactly.
What you just said. Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's more that than anything, because I had it at one time. So I realized it. And now I have, and I say this in love, not to be, no shame. If I don't understand something, if I don't get something, I don't care if it's crystal clear for everybody else, I will ask. And that's because it took a long time to get here. And that's that fear of judgment, which goes away when you begin your own discovery. We have covered a lot of territory here. And yet, let's end, and there's never an ending with you, my love. It's always so long for now. But this word empowerment is used everywhere. And one of my favorite words is power, especially for us women, knowing who we are because we are the bedrock, divine femininity and divine masculine. So how do you apply or put into play with the people and the groups that you're working with empowerment? Because it's an overused buzzword, but I get the gist and the essence and the core of the meaning of it. How do you embody that in what you're doing?
It is such an important word. It's such an important quality for each one of us to have to own and to have inside our comfort zone.
Right.
A lot of women, a lot of people shy away from empowerment because of the root of that word, which is power.
Yes.
Yeah, right. That's a hot word for people. People either are that or they're afraid of it. And I think that's why a lot of people shy away from being as empowered and empowering as they could be, because they shy away from power. One of the things I do with my clients is they learn and they embody the fact that power can be used for good.
Yes.
Sometimes people who shy away from it experience power that was used in a wrong or a bad way. And there is certainly an abusive use of power. That's not what we're talking about here, right, Joy?
No.
So I love knowing that power can be good. And I can use my power for good. I can be friends with my power. We're friends.
Exactly.
Rather than being afraid of it. When you're afraid of your power, you are being disempowering to yourself, not allowing yourself to be all that you are. And you're disempowering to others, because we could get critical of them being so much and you're so strong and powerful.
Exactly. And I'm not a racist or a sexist, but I realize, and I have my own knowing. It's not judgment, it's discernment, because it's just a knowing that we overall, women, have more of a fear of that than men.
I agree.
And that's it's not a judgment, it's just my knowing. That said, where do you bring into this work an understanding or a clearer explanation of what the Enneagram, you explained it a little bit. I've forgotten that it is 9. It means 9. But how do you utilize and use that? And can you give us a little bit more of a definition and understanding of that for those who maybe I never assume anything anymore, who might not be as aware of it as you and I are? Enneagram. What is it and what does it do?
Well, so it is a personality system, although the way I use it is not necessarily to tell you this is your type. It's interesting to know what your type is, but in my quiz, I see your gifts and your challenges in 18 areas of emotion. And I believe that it's useful to have access to the gifts of all of them. In other words, to be strong and confident, like the type called the leader, to have inner peace and to hear all points of view, like the type called the peacemaker. To strive for perfection because you want to do a good job, to know the right thing to do without overdoing it, without being so critical of yourself or others. You know, I could go on around the whole circle, but all of the qualities defined by this system are valuable. And as we grow into our wholeness, I think it's useful to embody all of them. The way I use it is someone takes my quiz, which you'll see in your emotional mastery toolkit. You get access to the quiz. I see your gifts and your challenges and how it illustrates how you've shown up in your past and your present. It can be a guide to the future you want to create. It points to your life purpose. And it also shows me the challenges that have held you back from clarity about your purpose or from living it. So my take on the Enneagram is unique to my perspective. Oh, one other quality that I bring to the Enneagram system is, instead of just putting you into this box, I see, when I see your blueprint, the results of your quiz, how all of your scores impact each other and impact you, to either lift you up and empower you, or to disempower you, causing the same old conflict and challenges again and again. So with all that information, it's a wonderful guide that supports you in being all that you are.
Oh my goodness. You know what, my lady love? I went through a stage where I took every test, every quiz, every that I could find. And I took this, but I don't remember what it was. So I'm going to take it again with you, because I'm forever just questing to find more, better, knowing that we're all the same. But I
Well,
want to know
yeah.
more.
Yeah, my quiz is different than the others because it separates the gift and the challenge of each type. And most of the quizzes don't do that. It doesn't illustrate that.
Well, I took it so long ago, I've forgotten, but you're bringing it to the fore, and I have to find it. But listen, before we say goodbye here, I want my engineer to put up your graphic again and tell us more data information about what you're offering. She's going to put up your everything, know how to connect with you. I think you've already explained it, but once again, it's a freebie that you're offering to all who come here, that they will gain something from it. I love the title and I love the graphic.
It starts with a quiz where you get to reflect on these 18 different areas of emotion, how they show up in you. Mm-hmm. And then you get your blueprint. Then you get an emotional mastery interpretation guide. So you start to have a sense about what it all means. There is a very short video clip on what is emotional mastery. There's something I call the whammies webinar. A whammy is like a knockout punch, and it's hard to get up afterwards. There are things in your blueprint that are like a knockout punch that diminish you from being all that you are. And then there are double whammies and triple whammies. So the whammies webinar was a talk I gave about all of the challenges that exist in humanity. They're rather archetypal, actually, because they exist around the world. And then you get an invitation to a call with me. And the value of that call is I get to look at what your blueprint means for you based on your life story. The guide has to be generic by nature, but when we talk one-on-one, which is what that call is a private call with the two of us, it really, I can tell you more specifically what it means for you in terms of your life purpose, the challenges and your clarity about it or living it, and just how you can be more that you are and make a greater impact, make the impact that you're here to make.
Boy, it sounds so fascinating and interesting to me, because once again, I did take it so long ago, I don't even remember. And I heard you say yours is quite different. But Andrea, the two words that I love, I'm a wordsmith, words anyway, not to impress, but to create within me. Mastery and power are very prevalent in my DNA now, and they are with you as well. So let's end with this. What words of wisdom, what food for thought, what do you want? Because the other thing, mastery and power, until you're on the journey and sticking with it to self-discovery, there is no confidence. There's more of a facade and a fake and a pseudo, blah, blah, blah. And you and I and all who are in this circle of life are seeking our gifts, our strength, our power, and mastery of it. So what food for thought, what words of wisdom, what would you like to leave us with?
Oh boy, thank you for that. Well, I want us all to be aware of the way we talk to ourselves, that voice in our head, which can be what I call the inner critic. That inner critic voice, we have to talk back to it because it doesn't serve us. It is the biggest deflator of our dreams, of our life purpose, of being all that you are. So I'm going to give you 3 phrases, and I'm going to say them one at a time. If any one of these resonates as something that you really want, something that can boost your confidence daily and anytime you need it, is to use one of these phrases as an antidote to that what could be a critical inner voice. And I like to say these in sort of a rhythmic way, so that they're easily repeatable, because when we do that, our body resonates with the meaning of the words. And it's really powerful in creating that reality and training and strengthening the neural pathway. Okay, so here are the 3 phrases. I'll do a little repetition so you get a feeling for what that could be like. I use my power for good. I use my power for good. I'm friends with my power. We're friends. I'm friends with my power. We're friends. I'm empowered to empower. I empower. I'm empowered to empower. I empower. And that, my friends, is what we're here to do. Use those phrases and see if they lift you up.
Oh, I love it. You must come back because you have ignited the gift more so within me. And I'm honored to have had this chance with you. For now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Friends, the time flies here. I don't know where it goes. Don't I say this every week? But this lady, you're going to, if not already, fall in love with her as I have, because she's full of power, love, and wisdom. And she's eager to share with you as I am. Be and stay well. Make this the best end of the week ever and the weekend. And we'll look forward to seeing you again next week soon. Until then, much, much love always from my heart to your heart. So long for now. Cheers.